Welcome back to the PCC, the Prime Championship Circuit, where we show you the best of competitive Predecessor gaming. This is the place where champions are born. My name is Ardog with a triple G, and I'm back with Ed and Wangle. We just watched Game 3 in the Grand Finals Best of 5 series between Dirty Lake and the boys and Indecisive. The score is currently 2-1 favoring DLAB, and this is potentially our last match of the day. The stakes are oh so high, and the tension is incredibly higher. We got to talk about one of the heroes from that match, though. One of the highlighted heroes is the Kalari. Wangle, walk us through with what you see on the screen.
Yeah, it's very much a pick that can cause so much disruption in the game. Obviously, the invisibility, of course, making it very hard to track the character. It can do a lot of weird pathing in the jungle, and that's the main key to mastering it. Obviously, a lot of people can mechanically play this character, but the big thing about playing it in comp is you need to make the game weird. You need to path in a way that the other team can't predict where you're going, and you need to be able to make these picks in weird angles, weird timings where the other team doesn't have many other options to get away with it. And you know, we're seeing these top players piloting this thing to mastery, and it's very, very cool to see.
And we see that he's been in 43 games during this whole event and a 55% win rate. A lot of these junglers really prioritize this hero, and we've seen how North was able to play the game with prowess and be able to be elusive with that stealth. But we're not gonna waste any more time. Let's get into the draft. Easy, Ed. There's a lot at stake here for Indecisive. This could potentially be their last match. And what bans should we expect to see from them?
I think they're going to try to get rid of the Kalari. I really do. I mean, there it is. Straight call. I am the smartest man alive. I don't know where to go from here. Yeah, I mean, the Kalari's gone, so I honestly think that DLAB's going to try to take the crunch away from Indecisive, which is going to put Indecisive back on that rampage, which seems to be Import's comfort pick. He's been a menace on it. I like the Narbash ban here because, again, it's taking him out of the game because neither team can really seem to beat it. So it's a good ban on both sides. North should be patting himself on the back, knowing that he is wreaking havoc in Indecisive's heads. And the Zarus on the first pick, so we know Morose is going to have a blast with that. I don't think I've really ever seen Import on Zarus, so in all reality, he's going to be going over to Morose in the off lane. So interested to see what they do to counter it. Here's the Gideon, so it's going to take away a little bit from that Zarus ult. Hopefully Appy can land a couple more of those good ones and less of the bad ones, but we'll see. And the Argus support, so this is going to be a lot of damage and a lot of setup here. So hopefully Indecisive has a good counter to it.
Yeah, we see two mages being picked on the side of DLAB. Interesting, not picking up the Sev at the beginning. We might be seeing it on this third pick, if I was to guess. DLAB, you know, don't really want to have that be taken away. They can play the Kwong. Kwong is a good matchup into the Zarus as well, so they can kind of go down multiple routes. We see the Belica being picked up pretty early, something that hasn't shown itself in the series so far. Used to be a very, very staple pick in comp with the recent nerfs, I guess, making it more of a situational or niche pick. The Grux coming out as well. It's going to be very likely the Zarus jungle, however, there is a very small chance Import plays the Grux jungle, but he's probably not going to into this Argus support. It's too easy to counter. But the Gideon, you know, big team fighting ult. There's the Sevarog. They want to have this scaling laner again. Even if Morose gets ahead, you've seen it every single time they get the Sevarog. They have won so far.
Yeah, I think the Grux, Belica, and Zarus is a great wombo combo through everything. It's going to prevent DLAB from really playing the game. Then once they get somebody low, Belica is going to hit them with that outplay button, which is so difficult to do, and it's gonna do a lot of damage. I mean, we've got a lot of mana supportive reliant heroes so far, so Belica is going to be a really strong pick. Getting rid of the rampage. So, I mean, they're basically telling North, hey, you need to play Crunch at this point. I mean, this is a lot of targets back and forth. You love to see it. They're definitely getting in each other's heads, like I mentioned, and getting rid of the phase and such too. So they're going to try to force Indecisive onto a Decker, I'm going to assume, because we've seen Manq on Decker, and I think DLAB feels pretty confident playing against that and going from there. But the Twin Blast pickup is good. This is a lot of damage really fast. The burst damage with the Sevarog frontlining. This could be really tough for Indecisive.
Yeah, the Murdoch being picked up here again. Neff's pick, he loves it. They're able to make a lot of picks with this happen. The Decker coming out for Indecisive. Very good pick in terms of what they want to do. Gives them something to engage with other than the Zarus leaping in or the Grux having to walk at this team. Very difficult to engage with that, so they need the Decker being able to catch people with the cage, throw the stun ball from long range, what have you. Even engage with Riftwalkers, get a big team fight started. But on this last pick, we're going to see Kwong. And I believe we're going to be seeing the Sevarog go into the jungle here. It's something that I think only North has played throughout most of the tournament. The only person that enjoys the Sevarog jungle, but when he's on it, he looks very, very strong with it. The Kwong able to neutralize the lane against Grux a little bit. We did see it kind of get punished, but now if it gets behind, you still have the Sevarog for the engage. Makes it a lot easier. You have the pick potential with the Argus as well. And I think both these team comps, there's a lot of things that can be done with both of them. It's very interesting.
It's going to be a banger of the match. Yep. And easy, Ed. We got to talk about Indecisive team comp, because what are they going to do with this strategy? And looking at these heroes, how can they secure the 4th game of this best of 5 series?
I mean, with the Zarus ult and the Decker cage, they're just looking to lift and separate themselves away from DLAB and try to play front to back a little bit more. I definitely think there's going to be a lot of picking that Sevarog, because once you take that out, you really only have the Kwang to front line, and he's going to try to build a little more damage and such too. So they're going to have to really be perfect in this. Otherwise, Argus and Gideon are just going to rip them apart with Twin Blast too. Again, I think if Indecisive isn't perfect on this, DLAB might walk over him a little bit. No BM, just kind of what I'm thinking.
And Wangle, Ed was kind of mentioning maybe DLAB will be able to walk all over them, but how can they do that with their team comp strategy going into game 4?
Again, something that DLAB seems to very much like is these kind of scaling picks. The Twin Blast, the Sevarog coming online really hard late game. Argus support, is a scaling pick. It doesn't necessarily scale as much, but you're looking at the side of Indecisive. The Zarus, very, very much strong early and mid game, but can be rough to play, especially without other frontliner. The Bellica scales pretty well, but like the Decker, the Grux are these early game picks, so they kind of have to look to stomp this game, and it'll be hard to play the team fights late.
This is the Grand Finals Best of 5 series, currently favoring DLAB 2-1. Everything's on the table from both sides. Who will come out elite? Who will be crowned champions and kings of the PCC? Get your popcorn, get ready, and get hyped. Make sure you get your predictions in. Will DLAB win 3-1, or can Indecisive take us to Game 5? F6 and Ego, show us the game.
Gamers, this could potentially be the last game of the PCC7 Grand Finals. And if I'm going to do it with anyone, I am happy to do it with the man, the myth, the legend, the answer to the surrender key, F6.
What is up, Ego, man? I'm just excited as you are. DLAB has been playing one hell of a weekend, and now they're in the position to close it all. They're in that position to be crowned champions. Question is, can they do it?
Dude, that's the biggest question that I'm sure they've been asking themselves. We've talked about it time and time again. This is a Cinderella story. They've grinded, they've progressed, they've gotten better, and they've been on the incline. But is that incline high enough to be at the top of the Predecessor competitive game? We're going to have that question possibly answered here today as Indecisive has to stand strong and steal a win from DLAB.
They're wanting to fight here too, so let's not count them out. But with the way that DLAB played the last game and the first game, it's just one of those things. You just have to be rooting for them because they're trying their best to start to get their championship, but it's going to be tough. We see the Zarus pick up here, and we see that Decker. There's a lot of these fights in the early game and mid game that are going to go to the weight of Indecisive based off the Coliseum and that containment fence. We know ManQ likes to play aggressive, and if he's on point right now with the Decker, it's going to be a different story.
Playing aggressive with ManQ, it's like white on rice, mac and cheese. And if you are a fan of that squad and Indecisive, them being able to pull it off would be delicious for multiple reasons. A, your team's looking like they could bring home a win, but B, in the grand finals, it could push us to a game 5. On the other side, though, much like Thanos, there's a character that feels inevitable in their value anytime that DLAB has their hands on it. That's going to be the Sevarog.
Big man Lauber, we see him this every single game that he plays the Sevarog. He's just a force to be reckoned with. He does not lose on this champion. No matter if you try and stall out his early game, no matter if you have the Grux to stop him, he's just able to play into anything. And if he is able to do anything this game, it's going to be the same outcome.
Now the Subjugate is going to be offline. It's already North is going to be showing a little bit of face over there in order to put some pressure on to Morose. We know this is something that they like to do in the solo lane between both of these junglers. We're going to be looking for a little bit of an early gank, and if we can find an A, at least, you know, not to push up too far. As now, it looks like Morose and Import are going to be able to take the back buff worry-free.
And that is just important for Morose. He needs to get a little bit more of that XP. It's a great job for Import to do that strike of going over to get that pressure back. You know, he got a little bit pushed out with the North rotation. He showed on the mouse that allowed him to go over there for that counter gank. And with that, Morose has just set a slight lead and a little bit more mana and health to fight.
Yeah, now over to the other side of the map, it's going to be the duo lane with Lakenator and Toasty looking to be aggressive and playing into the ManQ and Neft. They have to be a little bit careful because we know they are so very capable of flipping a switch and hitting you with the 188. You thought we were stuck in here with you, you're stuck in here with us, and all of the damage that Decker's going to let us guarantee.
She's just so great at that, right? Especially when you have that Zarus to be able to come into play. Looking right around minute 8, minute 9, when level 6 are going around the board, this is when these teams are really going to start to battle out. We know Dirty Lake and the boys like to try and slow things down to play their game, and if they're allowed to do so, we know the outcome of a win. But on the side of Indecisive, we know that Import likes the Zarus to be able to contain people, to be able to single out anybody that they need to, and if they are able to do that, they take those fights and they take those objectives.
The objective game is such an important facet, as we've seen time and time again. Those first couple of Fengtus can demand the tempo of the mid game, as now it's Import who's going to be demanding blinks if they're open. Toasty, utilizing his, is now going to be able to play the space, but it's going to be a 1-for-1 on the exchange, as now Import is going to look for the dive with the Spear of Near. He's getting first blood.
First blood on the board, and that is the aggressiveness that comes out of Import on the Zarus, but North says he has something else in mind.
He's looking to get it back, maybe send someone else on the opposition up to the heavens with that Fury, but the kill potential is going to, albeit be a little bit low, as Neft is going to be able to just back up and play with ManQ in the lane.
Great rotation coming out of Import. That first blood is key to having that Zarus get to his level 6. Great job getting pressure in that duo lane. We know the Fangtooth is that objective that these teams go after first. So as much pressure as they can get into this duo lane, the better. North's going to have to be able to get some pressure in either mid or back to this duo lane to help them out as he looks to try and find something somewhere else.
We see North on the rotation to the duo, though it is going to be Neft to hit by the tether. As we know, he does have the blink up. He should have an option to get out, but utilizing the blowback in Murdoch's kit, he's going to be able to nullify the aggression coming out of North.
Is still a great gank. He was trying to force out the blink there, but was unable to. Neft is a little bit too smart for that. He still had the Decker there, able to peel for them. And the fact that Toasty and Lake were so far back, the kill potential was low. That wave was pushed up. He does not want to miss that early game XP, but still, nonetheless, a great pressure being applied.
Yeah, and you said it yourself. These teams are going to be looking to apply that pressure within the dual lane. We know the solo lane a little bit easier, a little bit more dangerous, and the intentions of both of these junglers very nefarious if it comes down to getting a kill or two within the early game. But it feels like the word for winners is Fang Tooth. You have to be able to lock down that neutral, and a part of that is just having advantage within this dual lane.
And that advantage is there for them, as you see this constantly being able to push up towards that T1 tower over there. Shin tried to make a possible rotation looking for something, just did not have the wave state to do it. Now he's going to try and catch back this wave. But with that, Appy Picker is going to have the ability to either look at this jungle buff or just rotate over, because Morose is in a bad spot.
Big tether into some heavily damage is going to be put onto Morose. However, off the backside, it is now going to be Import playing the space. As the draw back, he's going to relegate Morose to the death screen over the top. It's going to be the Black Hole, who has an oh-so-powerful suction ability. But first, it needs to be hit. And considering a mid-stall, Import is going to walk out of the engage.
And there it is. Dirty Lake and the boys able to put themselves back onto the board here. And now with that rotation over to the opposite side of the lane, here comes Shin looking to possibly punish Lake and Toasty, but they look like they're going to be able to retreat. But if they stay long enough or even go after this gold buff, might not be the play.
The kill potential within the lane could have been there, but very head on the sliver is going to be Lakenator and Toasty playing very, very safely, but also knowing when to be able to turn up that aggression. And that time is not yet now, about 8 minutes into the game.
Now Appy Picker back in this mid lane, looking to try and get the pressure out. He doesn't want Shin to be able to freeze here, because what that does is put him so close to that tower that he's going to be able to freeze, and then that Coliseum at any moment can be locked out and used to engage on him. Yes, he has the torn space, but if he just follows up and wait for that torn space to lock him in there, he has nowhere to go. So great job able to push that up here. With that Fang Tooth up though, it is 8 minutes and 30 seconds in. This is around that time they look for this pick potential. And now we see Import, no Vords, no Vision, Coliseum up.
And on to the edge of the tier 1, it is going to be Lakenator, but followed up with some very solid CC. He's going to be knocked back, playing the space a little bit closer than they would like to. The Coliseum keeps them within damage range, and there's no kill to be had, but the pressure is going to be exercised regardless within the lane, as we may sooner rather than later see a rotation towards the Fang Tooth.
They had it. They had the setup, but just a little bit too far. Larber on the other end, taking the hands over to him, and that's the gang coming out.
Morose in the 2v1, Colossal Hammer coming out as Morose is going to be brought to death's door, but is he going to be stacked? And the answer is yes, as Larber is going to be able to pick up the kill in the kill lead for DLAB.
And now they're going to do the objective trade. Great rotation coming out of Appy to put that pressure on that lane. Yes, they lose the first Fang Tooth here, but if this mini prime goes towards Lauber, he now starts to get that much more pressure inside the off lane. We talked about how he's able to just win on the Sevarog, and this mini or prime is going to allow him to do that.
I'll be honest, man, if you ask me, would I rather have a Fang Tooth or a fed Lauber? I'm going to take the fed Lauber a lot of the time here. Going to be able to exercise those additional buffs and the buffs that are going to be delegated on to the minions to be able to push Morose in ways that he may not be able to answer, at least at this phase of the game. A solid trade here as we hit the 10-minute mark.
Still nice, still fairly even of a game. We see that North is going to be able to get that pressure out. He's actually focusing the side of the off lane, and we see the opposite from Import. He's focusing his attention towards that dual lane. With that Coliseum, it makes sense, and being able to lock down the Grux makes sense for the North, and it's just going to come down to who can really get their lanes fed. And right now, North is doing the better job because Lauber is looking like he's getting ready to get those stacks down.
Sevarog got a big belly because this game he has just been able to eat, taking that advantage, and later into the game becoming almost a composer for the team fight, forcing the enemy team to dance to the tune, to the tempo that he sets. That is going to be the goal for DLAB in their solo laner, and right now they're hitting all the right notes to get them there.
And with that, Dread Nova going to be able to push out some damage on Neft. Manq just missing away from this lane allows this pressure to happen. They're going to need to be careful though, because without mid lane pushed up, it's going to allow Appy Picker kind of make some moves if he wants to.
That's true, and as we did put a little bit of spotlight onto the Sevarog, I also would like to draw some attention to that Zarus 1-0 coming out of the jungle, that Coliseum. Such a key tool at being able to make these team fights or these picks beneficial. Now, to the solo, though, we're going to see Morose being aggressed upon. Now, with Lauber finding a disengage, though, Import looks like he's just going to be making a rotation for the neutral count.
He does not want to get picked off with his Orb Prime buff. They did so much to get this on top of him, on top of the hero, that he wants to be able to get as much benefactor out of this as he can. So he's going to be able to play it safe here. As long as he's able to keep pressure in that lane, that allows for his team to do what he wants, as you see North looking for another rotation.
They're going to keep on looking for it until some more value is derived or they're punished. And right now, North hasn't really been punished at all. 0-2 complete kill participation, although that's not impressive as a sentence at 15 minutes, nearly with the 2-1. Nonetheless, any advantage is an advantage that is welcome for either one of these teams. And right now, DLAB has it on the kill boards, while we do see Indecisive has it as far as Fangtooths go.
Going to be able to stack, and I think on the side of DLAB, they understand that they were going to take that L on that Fangtooth, but they understand the pressure they need to get for Lauber, and they understand that mid to late game, they're scaling towards it. As highlighted on the desk, you're going to need a Sevarog to scale late, the Twin Blast to scale a little bit later, right? So you're going to want to stall this game out a little bit longer, and that's what they're doing. They know they're going to be able to have that potential to turn those big objectives past that 20-minute mark into their favor. And as long as they're able to do so, this is definitely looking like their game.
You know, I 100% agree with you, man. And that's something that I'm sure not only these players, but these viewers understand. It is by no means an overstatement. The potential in your tanks, your engagers, being able to turn these team fights into the mid and late game offers so much more value than that first Fangtooth. If Lauber is able to excel his build, is able to get those stacks online and maintain a sense of pressure, even if that lane taking a little bit of gold and XP away from Morose, I mean, the value within that 25-minute mark is going to be so much more substantial than what they lose out on at the 10. However, now North may be looking for a fight, but looks like Import is not, as he's going to call for a quick disengage.
Just to highlight that, taking away the XP, taking away the gold, and the pressure that Morose can create is huge. We do know he likes to be able to get to level 18 as quick as possible. He's usually able to farm however he wants. But yes, getting that pressure into that off lane, North is doing a great job. He's able to keep a little bit of a containment on top of Morose, while TB is able to try and get himself into a scaling, and the rest of his team are trying to get themselves into that late game.
They're trying to get there as quickly as they possibly can on both fronts. And Indecisive, we've talked a lot about the Sevarog, also has some solid tools once they're at that point. Zarus with the Coliseum, if he's able to get that stacked up, it's going to be nice. But something that's going to be even nicer is going to be the Brain Fart, the Neural Disruptor coming out that Pelika, as now we're going to be seeing DLAB making a play for their own Fangtooth. And with 2 stall of a rotation, it feels like this is going to go guaranteed for free.
I mean, they had everything set up for their plan. This is one of the things that you see out of these high caliber teams. They get pressure inside that offlane. They rotate their offlane over to try and get the numbers advantage up. It was unfortunate there that Import had to take that back, and then it's just a different thing. The Colossal Blow, though,
comes out as now the Gideon portal is actually going to give her an expedited way to get back to their own home base. However, now Gideon left out a little precariously. He is going to be forced to utilize his own blink as the Coliseum comes down, as well as his HP did. Morose, though, in the jungle is hunting. He's on the prowl and he's looking for more, as Gruxy is looking to do Grux things. But with no kill being swung either way, it looks like the mid lane is only going to result in a disengage.
Everything almost landed to where it should have been, but just no follow-up from both ends. But there it is, that T1 in the mid lane, opening the map up for the side of Indecisive. We know how important it is to make sure the map opens up, especially when it comes towards invading, getting those deep wards down for vision control. And that is a win for Indecisive.
Yeah, man, and it's these small wins that can compound into a big one. And honestly, as a viewer, as a caster for the PCC, the biggest win for me would be getting to see these 2 amazing teams push it into a Game 5. And we're going to see Indecisive take every step they possibly can to get us there.
They're going to be trying hard, but we talked about it before. You don't want to get into the late game with this team. DLAB right now, as soon as they hit that late game stage, they become a force to be reckoned with. And now, with another objective going towards their way, it's not looking good.
However, we do see an engage here playing from Indecisive, but Import is also very low, and looking to bring them lower is going to be North for the engage activating the ult. They're going to be able to burst through some of the HP coming out of the Grunts, but it is not going to relegate them to 0, as no one has yet to see the gray screen. A lot of action, a lot of abilities, and a long arm of the law do come out, but no kills are to be had for either side.
A lot of blinks, a lot of resources just expended. Both of these teams, just nobody died there. Is absolutely crazy. Everybody was just fighting it out for that. They still come out with the win on the side of Dirty Lake and the boys because they got the prime. But man, that was a close call.
It was oh so very close for a lot of those HP bars. There was 2 to 3 people I was trying to register all at once. They just had a full one, but like a magic trick, that health disappeared. That really does put an emphasis on how capable both of these rosters are at melting the other. You got Argus, you got Lakeinator on the Twin Blast, while on the other side, we know what Bellica is capable of. We know that Void Bomb, the Seismic Assault CC, the Neural Disruptor, the hardest ult to hit in the game, I might say, and how all that damage can just compound into a lot of dead teammates.
There's a reason why everybody says she's broken. I know we haven't seen her too much inside PCC after that nerf, but the just damage that comes out of her is huge and immense. And here we see it onto Neff as he's forced to use that blink.
Oh my goodness, the Kwang tether off of the peak. He just didn't miss it. That's going to be a nice little mechanic execution for DLAB, as it is going to be the T1 going down and a force blink to be utilized out of Lakeinator. But onto the backline, it's now going to be Import looking to engage, but breaking the ankles a little bit. He is going to find a disengage and help with the man Q and Neff.
They got the T1. That's what they needed to do. Lakeinator actually flashed out there a little bit early, in my honest opinion. Not too much of a threat just quite yet. But great job there on the side of Dirty Lake and the boys to be able to get that North, using this mini prime to force himself into these structures to try and take them down to match what Indecisive has towards them.
Yeah, and matching it, they have been doing. Indecisive, though, now maybe looking to even up the kill board, as they're going to get a full dive in, but Happy Picker is actually going to be the one who picks up the kill onto shit off of the aggression that is coming out of DLAB, and now the opening up of the map with that tier 1 falling.
What a great initiation there. They just understood they had the mini or prime buff, and they took that fight. They took out the Bellica, and then they took out Import, getting caught underneath that black hole, and then just to finish it off with a T1. Dirty Lake and the boys are here to play.
They are, and you can feel it within the game. The momentum's pivoting, switching with that kill lead extension, but also in the crowd, as every PCC fan is getting a little bit riled up in what could potentially be the last game of the finals. But Indecisive, we're going to have something to say about that as DLAB make a play for another Fangtooth.
They're looking to stack it up. This is the third one, and it is important. They burn it down so quick, using that torn space as an escape, as they put themselves as another tally mark on the neutral objectives. Dirty Lake and the boys seem to be in control. Now, the real question is going to come down to, can they maintain it? We know Lauber is the Swedish warrior. He's on the Severov. Lakeinator always able to free cast. Can they keep it up? Or are they going to be able to fall here as Indecisive want to take this to game 5?
I'm going to be honest with you, with how DLAB has been playing, this kind of feels like at this point it might be their game to lose. Within the interview, we saw them talking about, specifically Lakeinator, how they have grinded, how they have practiced, and how they just feel like they are potentially the best in the game. And Indecisive has done a lot of winning within their day, but they have to take down a team that has something very dangerous, and that is the hot hand, because it seems like with a lot of these calls, they just can't miss.
They don't miss, indeed. Call them chalk Norris, and they're just here all the time. And that is just important to really rely on. They are so confident in themselves. The grind has been there. It's been a grind for months, scrim after scrim, game after game, set after set. And this might be the last one.
Hey, they definitely are hoping it is, as we're going to be able to see both teams kind of resetting, but playing over onto that solo side, with the exception of Gideon being able to push out that lane and also get himself a little bit of farm to scale out into the later stages of the game. F6, I want to get in your mindset, get a little beat into your mental. What does Indecisive need to do that we may have seen them do previously to put themselves in the driver's seat?
This might be it, Ego. They need to get that Coliseum.
Yeah, it is going to come down. However, it feels like the HP is not going down, with the exception of one onto the back line. It's going to be Lobber, though, able to get a kill onto M4, who, upon making impact, is impounded, sent off to the gray screen. It's looking like a 3-0 trade that is swinging in their favor, as ManQ is going to be between a rock and a hard place, but one is a little mean, a little green, and I'm not talking about the Hulk. Ladies and gentlemen, it's a 4-0 trade.
Let's go, DLAB. They were able to turn that around. You thought they were going to get picked off there. There's a huge engage, but the black hole said no, and they turned it in favor. Lakenator just able to cast there, and they picked them off one by one. And 23 minutes into this game, the Big Ore Prime is sitting on the seats and the laps of Dirty Lake and the boys.
Dude, they are gathering speed, and there's something to be said about being able to stop something moving towards you. But when they have this much speed, this much momentum, this much force, and they want what is on the other side of you this bad, that's the trophy, that's the bragging rights. It just becomes harder and harder with every minute, and we're already 23 deep. Indecisive needs to make a big change, and they need to make it now.
They need to make a big play. They need to get these initiations off right. I mean, the Coliseum was the right move, but they were just unable to get the vision control, and they were able to close the gap on the side of Dirty Lake and the boys. They were a lot closer than Indecisive thought, and they were not as close together as the team of Indecisive. They were a little bit separated, so they weren't able to answer there. But huge shout out to Appy Picker there, able to jump on top of the Coliseum with the black hole to stop anybody from wanting to get inside that fight. And now with the T2 down and right, the T2 looking like it's going to go down in mid, an inhibitor on the right being pressed upon, Dirty Lake and the boys in that driver's seat.
They are more than in the driver's seat. They have Indecisive tied down to the railroad tracks, and unless they get more miraculous with undoing the rope, they're going to get put down, as we are going to see the ulti is going to come once again out of import, locking down North, but not being able to get that good of a damage translation. It's a 3v1, but only temporarily, as the walls come crashing down. It is going to be the HP bars that follow, but not for the team that they would expect it to be. It's going to be Appy getting a big kill over the top end, as this is starting to spell out what could be a very significant push. That right side inhibitor is down, and it feels like the mid one is going to follow suit.
They're just able to get them. Indecisive making the mistakes. 2 inhibitors down. They're pushing towards the core. Another 30 seconds, Ego.
You have to put up the wall. You can't let them get this damage across. It has to be Morose. It has to be Def. It has to be ManQ, who is getting pushed back. They are starting to fall one by one. Appy Picker with the pickoff, and it is going to be DLAB that are your PCC7 champions.
They take the championship. NA versus EU. Dirty Lake and the boys come out on top. They have finally done it.
They have done it. They grinded. They got better constantly on the positive incline. Always the wedding maid, never the married. But it is them who hold the boutique. It is them who have on the dress. And they stand at the top exclusively of the Predecessor competitive scene. Congratulations to DLAB.
GG's, executed to perfection. They saw their opportunity. They took a hold of it. They got the right picks, that big prime play, and they were able to capitalize it with such quick and efficient ways. And now we have our new crown champions.
Dude, Could not be happier for these guys. Honestly, got a place of love for the grinders, but also got a place of love for Indecisive. Thank you guys so much for coming out and giving all of these wonderful viewers of Predecessor a performance they deserved. Both of you are at the top of the game. However, there can only be one who stands at the very top, and that is going to be North. That's going to be Lakeinator. That is going to be the DLAB lads here. Congratulations to them. And F6, if I had to do this cast with anyone, I'm happy it was you, brother. So exciting.
Hey,
so exciting.
Likewise, man. That was just a fantastic series. Huge shout out to both teams. You guys just made it entertaining. Everybody that played today in the PCC, and we couldn't thank you enough. But I do know who else want to thank you guys and who wants to get after of just talking to these champions. That's going to be the analyst desk as they take it away.
They brought it home, boys and girls. Dirty Lake and the boys is here, and they came to play. Give the team the love and the hype they deserve. This is your PCC7 Kings and Champions. They've had us on the edge of our seats from beginning to finish. This team has worked so hard in countless PCCs and tournaments, and their moment of glory is finally here. Lauber, North, Lakeinator, Toasty, and Appy Picker are the happy winners of $750. And GG's Indecisive, thank you so much for playing, but you still get to go home with $250. Wangle, please help us break down what exactly happened in Game 4.
You could just see, I think, the steam's running out. They'd adapted their play style, they'd adapted the drafts. Things just weren't going for them. It's getting late over in EU. I think you could tell that game just not even close to as close as the other ones. You don't know who's going to win. This one, pretty, no pun intended, decisive victory for DLAB, and just played really, really well, out macroed them. All the plays that they wanted to go right, they went right, and it all clicked.
It was full gas, no breaks from beginning to the end for this team. Easy Ed, what else were your observations from that Game 4?
I mean, again, North just kind of took over. He was everywhere where he needed to be at the perfect timing. They set up plays together. I mean, it was just a strong win overall. They looked like they really clicked together. I mean, through and through, there weren't a lot of mistakes. Indecisive played really, really well. I mean, there's no beating around the bush on it, but DLAB just showed up a little bit more today. I don't know if it was a time zone difference. It's probably 2-3 a.m. for them over there, and they're ready to go to bed, but DLAB did work today.
And speaking of DLAB, one of their players are coming out to do an interview with us. Let's send him right in.
Hello.
And there's Lauber. Thank you so much for taking the time to do this interview after such a long day. First of all, congratulations. You guys made it. You are the PCC7 champion. How are you feeling right now?
Thank you. Feels really good. DLABs, we've been chasing it for a long time. Even before I joined the team, they've been chasing it since that win they got ages ago. So it feels amazing. It feels amazing to break the third place curse that DLABs always had and get North out of quarters. Feels good.
Wangle, ask your question to Lauber.
So first off, Lauber, congrats.
Thank you.
You've solo bowled the PCC. Maybe a 5-person ordeal, but congratulations again. And the main question I wanted to ask you was, a lot of people, I think, leading into the play-ins, were kind of ranking you guys a little bit lower, around like the 3rd or 4th place, like ranking for the tournament. And obviously they didn't have you for the play-ins, and so they're dropping some games. It's a little bit awkward.
Yeah, they're kind of shit without me. So.
What do you think was the biggest difference between the play-ins and even just recent scrims where people have been starting to see you guys gaming, and today on tourney day where you guys have taken it all home?
I think scrimming against professors has really helped us, because we always get ahead early and then we kind of throw into our mid-late game, and just grinding professors because they're so good at playing mid to late game. We just learned what our mistakes were, what our weaknesses was, and it just helped us like iron that shit stuff out. Yeah. So
And
just playing Professors basically has helped us.
Okay, Lauber,
ahead,
what
Ed.
do you think, how did the addition of North really set you guys apart from the last team? Like, what did he bring to the table compared to the teams you've had in the past, and what was his strong point on the addition?
I think before we played with Bry, like Bry was really good mid, but then we had Appy in the jungle, which was maybe like not the best. So I think when we got a chance to pick up North, we had to take it, even though Bry was like a really good player, is a really good player. Just fitting North into the team and putting Appy back to mid was really good, because North comes in with a voice, he comes in with like a draft plan, he's pretty good at drafting, and he knows what he wants to do early game in the jungle, which we had like kind of difficult of knowing what to do. And I think the whole team has worked well with North, giving him information about our lane state is and helping him being able to play his game. So like, I think just another big voice with how you want to play early game. North has really came and helped us with that.
Awesome.
And we saw how evident that was when we were watching your games. But Lauber, what's next for you and your team? You just won PCC7. What's next for you?
Oh, we're probably breaking up now. We got to win, so we're like, all right, we're done. So we'll see. No, but hopefully we stay together. I'm not sure. We haven't really talked about it. But we will see. Staying together is the best, obviously, because we won. And I think if we stay together, we can keep crushing it. So yeah, I'm looking forward to get better and becoming more than a Severog one trick.
We're looking forward to it as well. Before we say goodbye to you, Lauber, any message you'd like to send to the community, perhaps your fans out there?
Yeah, I stream on twitch.tv/LauberGG. Play pretty often. I play offline, of course. So yeah, go check that out. Big shout out to my wife in the background for like being with me and dealing with my screaming. And shout out to my team, they play amazing. Shout out to PCC for hosting this event. It's so fun in playing Predecessor, and I can see how the game is growing and everything is going in the right direction. So hopefully we can just keep the momentum going and just everybody have fun.
Thank you so much, Lauber.
Yeah. Also, Evie.
All right, we are back at the desk. Thank you so much, everybody, for being a part of our stream. Thank you so much, Lauber, for doing that interview for us. Thank you to all the players, all the teams that took part in our event today. I mentioned this earlier, PCC would not be possible without you all. Our production team, our social media team, those who do our graphics, those who are part of the creation of our videos, our producer, shout out to him, the moderators, the casters, our desk analysts, everybody who's been a part of our organization. It has been an absolute blast from start to finish. If you are enjoying the production, please help us out with a subscription or a follow. It means a whole lot to us. Stay tuned to our socials for what's coming up next. We are definitely cooking something up in the kitchen. Thank you everybody for tuning in. This is Ardog with the Triple G, signing out as your host here at the PCC. Ed, how will your fans catch up with you?
You can follow me on Twitch at EasyEd93, no space, no nothing, or Twitter, same way. That's pretty much all I do.
And Wangle?
You can find me on my Twitch. I'll be resuming streams sometime next month when I'm back in America. Twitch.tv/I'mWangle. And I am tired. It's about midnight here. I need to pass out.
I know it's been a really long day, but what better way to spend your day than with us here at the PCC? We're heading off. Thank you so much, everybody. Bye now.